We're going to be doing an updated fastest cars in GTA Online, including one that might be the new #1 fastest. We're going to be taking into account top speed, handling, acceleration, and just how they do overall in lap times and also drag racing performance. The Banshee GTS is an absolute must to get if you're looking for one of the, if not the fastest car in GTA Online. It is a top tier sports car and the performance of it definitely backs up the good looks it's got. These are the type of cars that people want Rockstar to actually release. Now it is HSW upgradable on the current gen console, so I highly recommend upgrading it to the HSW because without HSW, I would say it's in the good tier of sports cars performance wise, both in top speed and lap times, but if you upgrade it into HSW, it is going to become absolutely elite. When a professional like Bruffy1322 tested it, he found that it had the highest top speed amongst all sports cars in the game, and possibly one of the, if not the highest out of any car in general. When it came to lap times, with HSW, of course, it came out to be third best in lap times, so very good all-around racing car with crazy fast top speed. At the same time, with this crazy top speed, you can still go around corners fairly well. Of course, you can't expect it to be like the absolute best and most grippiest car to the road, but relative to the insane speed it's got, you can control it pretty well. Let's just say later on this list, there's way less controllable cars than this one. Highly recommend getting it for just under $2 million, which is a reasonable price somewhat, I would say. But after the HSW upgrades, of course, it is going to get much more expensive, which is pretty much the norm with HSW vehicles, unfortunately. GTA Plus members can actually get it for completely free for a certain amount of time. So if you have GTA Plus, go and check if it's actually free right now. The next vehicle is a non-HSW one, just because I didn't want this whole list to be HSW only. That wouldn't be too great. Plus HSW isn't really available for everyone. It's super expensive. So a great non-HSW option is the Itali GTO that for a long time before HSW actually became a thing was the best sports car for sports races, and to this day I actually use it in sports races that don't have HSW enabled. It's a super well balanced vehicle with amazing handling. The traction on the Itali GTO is fantastic, and it's also got a good top speed and is relatively fast for a non-HSW upgradable vehicle. The acceleration is also pretty top tier for a non-HSW, so great overall sports car that you really cannot go wrong with in every performance category. It also looks amazing as well, and some people would actually go for the Pariah or the Itali RSX, but I just prefer the GTO just because it's a way better handling car. That's a tiny bit slower, but honestly, if you're going around turns, the Itali GTO I think would actually have an advantage over the Pariah and the Itali RSX. It is just my personal favorite because of how well balanced it is. And when I say the Itali GTO is a tiny bit slower, I refer to the top speed, because acceleration, it's as good if not better than the competition in the sports class. The only time I would use the Itali RSX or the Pariah over the GTO is in a straight drag race. Then we have the HSW version of the Stinger TT. Now this one lacks in traction but is really good in top speed. Now the Stinger TT is the previous king of top speed. Up until the Banshee GTS came out, this was the fastest top speed land vehicle in the whole game. Just because it's not #1 in top speed anymore doesn't mean it's not fast. It still is one of the fastest land vehicles, and when you start nearing that top speed, it becomes pretty difficult to control this car. I mean, it's really not a heavy car at all, so if you hit a bump while going at a high speed, chances are you're gonna go flying. A bit less controllable than the GTS. I mean, the traction with this thing is definitely the downside of it, but it's still super fast, and if you manage to control this vehicle somewhat going around the lap, it could still be a very good option, and it still is 100% competitive in sports races with HSW enabled. Now we're going to switch to a car that's the complete opposite of the Stinger TT. This car is super different than the Stinger TT because it has the most ridiculous traction out of any car I've ever seen in this game. The LM87 supercar is literally glued to the road. That's what it feels like. Doesn't matter if you're going over a bump or you're doing a super sharp turn, chances are you're not going to be able to spin out with this thing. Super nice to handle, super easy to handle. Honestly, if you're struggling to handle other cars, this is probably your best bet. And so with incredible handling, you do sacrifice some of the top speed, but the top speed is also still good, but this really shouldn't be the best option for drag races, let's say. You can also equip it with Imani tech inside of your agency, so if you want to put the missile lock-on jammer on it, you can, and then you're much safer when driving around in free roam. So it's a great free roam vehicle. You can roam around the map without having to worry about anyone locking onto you with homing missiles. Fantastic option right there, another non-HSW option. Then we have the Vega ZX, which is surprisingly a muscle car, and when you think of GTA Online, you wouldn't really think the fastest car in the game, or one of the fastest cars in the game, would actually be a muscle car, but the Vega ZX is an exception. It has really high top speed, especially for a muscle car, and it's as good as you're gonna get for that class with the HSW upgrade on it. So it is HSW upgradable, and with the recent DLC update, it's also a Monitech upgradable inside of the agency. So it's one of the vehicles that you don't see often, being both a Monitech and HSW upgradable. So it's both a safe vehicle to drive in, and it's extremely fast. It's also one of the best drifting vehicles, so if you're going to a drift meet, it's super easy to drift with this thing. And I feel like out of all vehicles in the game, this is definitely one of the community's favorite cars. The HSW upgraded Niobe is one of the best and fastest cars in the game as well, and it's also a fan favorite in the community. I feel like what we said with the Itali GTO, the Niobe is also a great and well-balanced vehicle with amazing handling, high top speed, and great looks. This is one of the better and cooler looking sports cars, or supercars I should say, in the game. At this moment, the Banshee GTS and the Niobe are pretty much neck and neck, because the Niobe has a bit better traction and handling, while the Banshee GTS has a little better top speed. If you're racing on a track with a lot of turns, I would go for the Niobe for that slight advantage, but if you have a lot of straight aheads, the Banshee GTS might be better. Regardless, both are great options and amazing vehicles with amazing looks and great performance to back them up. Then we have the OCElot Virtue, which is a non-HSW option, but it's a great vehicle that you can actually get for completely free, which is extremely rare. If you complete the first dose and last dose missions, you actually get this as a reward at the very end. If you don't know how to start that, you just go to the R icon in Sandy Shores, go through a bit of a long cutscene, and then start the missions, the series of missions, and you also unlock the Freak Shop property. So you unlock a super fast vehicle, but before that you unlock a property for free as well, so extremely worth it. It's equipable with the missile lock-on jammer inside of the agency, so it's a safe vehicle to drive around in free roam, and the acceleration of it is very fast. Really good acceleration, making it lack a little bit in top speed, but it's still a fast vehicle by all means. The Virtue is one electric car. Now another electric car that is HSW upgradable, and it's pretty much like a better version, I would say, of the Virtue, because both have some crazy fast acceleration. So the Cyclone II HSW is a very fast car that I use to complete HSW time trials every now and then, and the Cyclone II has the most ridiculous acceleration I've ever seen on any car, any non-rocket boosted car, that is, of course. With rocket boosted vehicles, of course you're gonna have really good acceleration, but this thing goes like 0 to 100 so freaking quick. It actually catches you off guard because you're not used to this fast of an acceleration with the car. So insane acceleration with this one. Top speed is all right, but I feel like that's the case with pretty much any electric car. And like the Stinger TT, when you start reaching that top speed, it becomes a bit difficult to control the car, and chances are you are going to crash into something if you're not careful. It almost feels like it's faster than it should, but let me know if there's any cars you think I missed in this video down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel for more awesome videos like these that you do not want to miss. If you like this one, chances are you're going to like the video on the screen right now. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.